My name is Dane Graversen. I'm an SAP mentor and I've been working with SAP process integration for the last 7 years. On my newest project, I was supposed to do a migration from Business Connector to PI, and that is taking on real well. And one of the things that really was missing in that perspective was a place where I could do migration testing to figure out what was the difference between two documents, and rerun a lot of tests and see if the mapping changes I made also manifested in changes in the resulting document. I couldn't find any tool for this, so I decided to create my own that enables the user really easy to figure out what the difference is between two different mappings. So this tool can be used in two different instances. The first one is if you have, for instance, a partner already in PI and you want to add a new functionality, like you want to accept a new field or a new qualifier, and you want to make sure that this doesn't affect any of the other partners, for instance, that is going through this mapping. So in the old way, you'd have to do all this testing yourself, send all the documents in, and make sure that they were saved correctly. With that nothing had changed in those mappings, and you have to figure out, have I tested with all the mappings that I'm supposed to? With the PI migration tool, a lot of this can happen automatically. You just rerun all your test cases and you see that, hopefully, that nothing has changed. If anything has changed, you can see this is because we're changing this, and you'll be able to solve it, retest it, and then you'll probably find that everything is working out correctly. So that is one use case of it. The other one is the one that I'm using at the moment, where I have a business connector that we are decommissioning, and we want to make sure that the mappings does not change. So how does this work? Well, it works the following way. Like we have a bunch of EDI files that we send into the file adapter, which uses cburger to process the files. Each XML file is then processed with a message mapping. The message mapping is then moved to a Java mapping that takes care of saving the documents on the PI folder. Because we're using cburger and this message splitter, we may end up with a lot of files that has a different status. That means we have to make sure that we split the documents correctly. So what we're doing here is we'll just add the sequence of this file to the file name, so that'll be like 1 out of 10 messages based on the splitting parameters. This is important because the business connector just delivers one document, and of course we need to compare it in the right order. So next up, when the file adapter has picked up the file, it's moved to a folder where the business connector can pick it up. The business connector will then process it to the normal flow, and then at the end an HTTP call is made to the migration tool to make sure that it saves the XML document that it was expecting for this instance. And then you can use the comparison tool to compare all the documents and how they're working. And you could actually use this the same way for regression testing. So let me just show you how this comparison tool works by showing you a screencast of the functionality. So see it here. Hey, let me just take you through what the PI migration helper can do for you. So here we are in the web interface for it, and we can see all these messages that has been sent and has been processed and is waiting for comparison. We can see here that this message, the legacy file with this message, has these PI files, and because we've been using the Seeburger tool, there's more files over here than over here. So all these files is merged into one file when compared with the PI file, and that's because it's idocs, and we're able to enhance that and make it easy to compare those two files. What we can see down here in the bottom is there's some file that has been processed in the legacy system that is not in the PI system. So that means they're probably failing somewhere in the integration engine, or something has not been configured correctly for these messages. So it's really a good way to test, something is not mapped correctly. The thing we can do is we can do a compare all. Compare all will compare all these different files we have and show a brief comparison difference between these documents. And we can see in this first one there's a difference between the partner numbers in these two messages, and that seems like that's the whole thing for all this document. In this other document we just have it's the same error that occurs. In this one we can see there's a little different in the way this represented. We can see there's a difference in the number of child nodes. We can see that there's an RE on RS difference, and there's some different fields that is missing in one of the other documents. So what we can do is we can use the visual comparison that makes it much easier to see the differences between these two files. This one indicates that this is something that is different in this document that does not exist in the PI document. And the gray is something to illustrate these elements is missing in this document. So what we can see, we have the header that's okay, that is different. What we can see down here is we have this document in here, and it is down in this one. So there's definitely something about where this document, where this element is, and where it's being added. Also, we can see there's a difference between these two elements here, where this one just is called 2 and this one is called 2.0. And I think more importantly, we can see there's a difference between these two documents, where we have the line item and purchase order with a number here. So this is a really good way to gauge what these messages are, and we have the short comparison down here also. So if we want to take a look at these messages, we can actually just click here, and here we see the legacy file of it, and we can see what's wrong with it, how it looks like, and where these messages is. And if you look at the PI file, we can see it's just here. So it's really easy to compare these also in the visual tool, and this makes it really easy to figure out where these errors is and what you can do about them. And when you're doing your testing, you can see, does the mapping now correspond to this, the target element, and when you're changing something. So the PI migration helper is something that makes it much easier to find these errors. And for iDocs, I've done special handling, so it's possible to ignore element or ignore root elements that you don't want to compare the header iDoc because they are not relevant. Well, they may change a lot because of its different systems, and in the PI you have all the segments that you need to fill in. So this is a really easy way to show what the elements is. I hope you enjoyed that demo and find it as an interesting product. I'm going to offer this at a price at around 4,000 euros when I'm just sure that this product works and I get all the customer feedbacks that I need for it. In order for me to move the product the next step, I need some more input on how people are using it and what kind of additions and changes I need to make to the product. So that's why I'm releasing as a beta project where you as a customer can try it out and figure out how does this work in my instance, what kind of information do I need from this product to make it useful in my area of expertise. So that's why the beta product. What I've done is I'd like some insight on why you would be a good customer of this and why your use cases would be interesting. So I've created a survey. You can find the survey just by clicking the link below, and we'll ask some my name and email address and what you would be using the tool for, so I can get a certain amount of difference in the use cases and make sure that we support the most common use cases. Yeah, of course you would get that for free. Hopefully you contribute something about ideas and what kind of changes it will make. So please fill in your name and email address in the survey below, and I'm looking forward to working with you to make this an even better product that we can move into the bigger PI community and make sure that the efficiency of our development is even better. So until we talk, goodbye.